Hi, I'm Ashton, and I'm going to be doing the newbie booktube tag. I am just going to get straight into it because nobody really likes long intros, so here we go. I have my journal that I wrote all the questions down. So the first question is, why did you start this channel? I am starting this channel because I used to have a YouTube channel that has since been deleted, and I've always just wanted to come back to it. Like, I never lost the love for making videos and editing and things like that, and what better way to do that than to make videos about reading, because I have recently rediscovered my love for reading again too. So that is mostly the reason. I just wanted to do it for fun. The next question is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to YouTube? So this question is kind of hard because there are so many booktube creators, and I love watching like booktube and book talk. Like, I love watching those videos, and there's just so many people and so many creative people and so many entertaining booktubers and videos with like books and reading, and I feel like it could be really hard to bring something unique to that community. But I just want to make reading vlogs, or vlogs where I'm just like reading in them and not necessarily centered around the reading. I want to do that. I want to do like monthly TBRs and reading wrap-ups, but I also want to maybe bring in some of my like old content, like what I used to make before my channel was deleted when I was younger, and that was like creative prompt books. Like, one of them was my Wreck This journal. This is a new one, so it's blank, but I filled one of these out like a long time ago, but it just has like prompts in it, and I just want to maybe be able to like finish another one. My old one got lost at some point or thrown away or something, I don't know, but I want to do that, or fill out a create this book. I don't have one with me, but I want to buy one. It's by Mariah Elizabeth, and she is also a YouTuber. She's one of my favorite YouTubers that I always watch. She does like a lot of like squishy makeover videos and things like that, and like she does like a lot of art things, and I love her videos. So, and she has an art book that has like prompts on it. It's called Create This Book, and I feel like that would be really fun content for me to make on YouTube. The next question is, what are you most excited about for your channel? I'm most excited to get back into recording and editing. Like, I always loved making content, and I started making TikTok videos where I did like over excessive like editing, I guess, that could have been for like a YouTube video instead of a TikTok, because TikToks are usually for like short-term content. Why do you love reading? I love reading because I want to be an author. So reading stories helps me become inspired to actually write my novel. And I have had problems in the past where I'll just start a new book after like 6 chapters because I just fall out of like love for the story. And I have been working on a novel recently, and I feel like watching booktube videos and also reading has like inspired me to actually like continue writing it, and I'm very, very excited for that. What book series got you into reading? So the series that got me into reading was The Land of Stories, and I have read all of these books. I do have a bookmark in the first book because I did start rereading it. It is by Chris Colfer, and it is a middle grade book, but they are really easy to read, and I love them. So I started rereading it this month, and I forgot how much I loved the stories, and I did not know that it was like who Chris Colfer was at all, but he is in Glee, and I only knew that because of reading like this part of it. He says, oh, I think it's in the acknowledgments. He thanks the cast and crew of Glee, and I didn't know that because I never watched Glee, but it was really funny because when I started hanging out with my now best friend Cass, they love that show and they made me watch all of it, and it's so funny that I fell in love with his books before I ever watched Glee. And I don't know, it's so funny to me, and I'm really, really glad that I picked up the books and then also watched Glee. I did fall out of reading after reading like a couple books after the Land of Stories books. I fell out of, like, maybe not fell out of love for reading, but like because I was in school, I would be reading for school more often than I was reading for fun. So I never really wanted, to read outside of school. So I kind of just stopped, and I didn't pick up reading, I think, again until like 2022, which is crazy. Like I always had books with me, but I would never open the page to start reading them. But what brought me out of that I believe it was 2022, was Ready Player One. And I love Ready Player One and Ready Player Two. Both of these books are so good. I love them. I have heard people say like they don't like them because there is a lot of pop culture references, but I freaking love these books, and I have been wanting to reread them again. And like I said, I have started rereading, the Land of Stories books, and I feel like going back to books that like I loved when I first read them it helps me to, like, inspires me to read new stories, or like it doesn't burn me out. Like I don't have like a reading burnout. Reading slump. I don't go into a reading slump if I start rereading books that I've read before. Chris Colfer did start writing a new series that I do want to read. I think it's called A Tale of Magic, and I also want to read those books. I don't know what they're about, but I'm guessing that they're also going to be like the fantasy type. The Land of Stories books are about two kids that are 11, and they get transported to a fairy tale world, and they meet like all of like our classic fairy tale creatures, fairy tale characters. And I love it. I love how it's written. It is middle grade, so obviously it's not going to be for everybody. I am 22, and so reading a middle grade book is kind of, I don't know, a little funny to me. I could talk about my favorite books for like forever. And yeah. What questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I didn't really know how to answer this question because I don't really have any specific questions, but I guess like I could ask like what advice would you give to somebody starting a booktube channel, especially like booktubers that are like more successful? Like, I don't know, what kind of advice would you give other new booktubers? What challenges will be the hardest with booktube? I feel like for me, I do have 2 jobs, so I struggle managing my time with my hobbies because yes, I love reading, but I also love journaling. I love playing Animal Crossing, playing my Switch, watching TV, watching YouTube. you know, like things like that. So it's hard for me to like manage my time for that. And if I am going to be making videos for my YouTube channel, then I'm gonna have to put in time to like make the videos, like come up with the ideas, edit them. But I do love those things. So because I have been finding like my passion for things like journaling, I picked back up last year, and reading I picked up just in this last December. Again, you know, I used to go long periods of time where like I just didn't do any of that. Like last year was a really hard year for me. The year before that was even worse. So I have been picking back up my hobbies. And so, you know, making videos and even editing. I love editing. Like those are some, like that is another one of my hobbies. So I feel like rediscovering that will, you know, make me happy. And so like, even though it may be challenging for like time management and stuff, I love it so much that I will be able to put time for like away for it. Like I'm definitely excited for that, but it may be challenging with having, you know, 2 jobs. And I did just work 15 days in a row, and today is my first day off, which is really funny. And I am going to have a video, a little vlog about my first day off in 15 days coming up after this video. I don't know when I'm gonna post that because it may or may not be just that day, or it may be like a couple days. So we'll see. Is when did you start reading? I can't really remember when I really started reading, but like because I did read for school a lot, and I didn't really have like the motivation to read outside of school until I did pick up, you know, the Land of Stories books. And so when I picked those ones up, it was middle school. So if I had to say like when did I start reading for fun specifically, it was most likely in middle school, because in elementary school I would get like library books, but I wouldn't like actually read them. Like I would check them out, but then I would just have them and maybe read like a couple pages, but I didn't. I definitely loved writing more than reading when I was younger, like in elementary school. I loved writing like poetry and like little short stories. So where do you read? I can read pretty much anywhere. I'm, for the most part, read on my couch. I'll read just like after work. I'll like sit on the couch and then I'll read my books, or right before bed. I like to read like sitting down right before I like roll into bed, instead of like reading with my book in my bed. But I also can like read in the car. I can read like on my break at work. Okay. Cass interrupted my video, so. The last question is, what kinds of books do you read? And I mostly read fiction. I have a hard time reading nonfiction. But I specifically read fantasy and romance, not necessarily together. But I have been I want to read more nonfiction this year. So I'm in the middle of Hidden Figures, and it's been taking me a while to get through it because it is nonfiction. The author, she wrote about like a lot of like the space, talking about like the space and, you know, it at NASA, and I'm not like super interested in that. Like I just wanted to hear about like the women's lives that did help with NASA. So it is a little hard for me to read, which is why I am in the middle of the Land of Stories, so that I have a little bit of like, so I'm not just not reading because I'm having a hard time getting through this. But yeah, so while I was reading Hidden Figures, I also reread Heartstopper. Where did I put those? Oh, yeah. I reread 1 through 4 of Heartstopper, and I do have the 5th book. I have not read it yet. I've read these ones twice already, because I read them a couple years ago, and so I reread them this year, and I need to get to the 5th book. I also just wanted to talk about some of my favorite books, just in general. Obviously, the Land of Stories books, like I love those ones, and then Ready Player 1 and 2, which I already talked about. Recently, I finished Children of Blood and Bone, which I don't have the book, but I have the dust jacket for it. My coworker has it. I let one of my coworkers borrow it, and then I gave it to another coworker when she finished it. So now my other coworker has it now. And I also love the 2nd book, which is Children of Virtue and Vengeance, which the first coworker that had this book is reading the 2nd one now. And I need the 3rd book, but it doesn't come out until June, and that is Children of Anguish and Anarchy, and I can't wait for that book to come out. And then also this year, I recently read 2 books, which was The Color Purple, and I love this book. Cass had me pick it up at Barnes & Noble, and I am really, really, really happy that I got to read it, because it was so good, so sad, but it was so, so, so good to read. And then also, this was recommended by Cass also, which is their favorite book, which is Anger is a Gift. And this book was so good too. So sad again. Cass always making me read the sad books, but this one was really, really good too. And I definitely want to make a video probably about The Color Purple and Anger is a Gift, because both of them were really sad. Both have Black characters, and I really, really, really enjoyed both of the books. So I want to make a video on those 2. And I also wanted to talk about some of my favorite booktubers. I started watching Mel Reed's a long time ago. Like, I think I started watching her like right before I got to college. So like that was like 2020. And I still watch all like her videos all the time. I love her content. I feel like she gives really good recommendations. And then also, I think either last year or the year before that, I got into reading or watching Jack Edwards, and I love watching his book recommendations because he reads a lot of literary fiction, and I want to start maybe reading some more literary fiction as well. And then there is somebody that I watched that also did a newbie booktube tag, and his name is on YouTube is Lit Vibes with 5, and I love his videos. He's so entertaining. He seems so chill. Like, I love watching his videos. And like, he's very new to like the booktube videos that he puts out, but I already like love them, and I've watched all of the ones that he has put out, and I just wanted to kind of give them a shout out, because like all 3 of those booktubers, because I do really enjoy them, and that they have been a little bit of an inspiration recently to me coming up with my little booktube videos. That is all I have for this video, and I am very, very excited to make another video. So I'll see you in the next one.